Never know why I go. Never know why I go anywhere.
I come here to be educated.
I hate being educated.
So do I. It puts one almost on the level of the commercial classes, doesn't it? But then, dear Gertrude Chiltern is always telling me that I should have some serious purpose in life. So I come here to try to find one.
I don't see anyone here tonight who one could possibly call a serious purpose. The man who took me to dinner talked to me about his wife the whole time.
Oh, how very trivial of him.
Terribly trivial. What did your man talk about?
Oh, about myself.
And were you interested?
Not in the smallest degree.
What martyrs we are, dear Margaret.
And how well it becomes us to live here.
Lord Caversham. Good evening, Lady Chiltern. Has my good-for-nothing young son been here?
I don't believe Lord Goring has arrived quite yet, Lord Caversham.
Why do you call Lord Goring good for nothing?
Because he leads such an idle life.
How can you say such a thing? Why, he rides in the Row at 10 o'clock in the morning, goes to the opera 3 times a week, changes his clothes at least 5 times a day, and dines out every night of the season. You don't call that leading an idle life, do you?
You are a very charming young lady.
How sweet of you to say that, Lord Caversham. Do come to us more often. You know we are always at home on Wednesdays, and you look so well with your star.
Never go anywhere now. Sick of London society. Shouldn't mind being introduced to my own tailor. He always votes on the right side. But object strongly to being sent down to dinner with my wife's milliner. Never could stand Lady Caversham's bonnet.
Oh, I love London society. I think it is immensely improved. It is entirely composed now of beautiful idiots and brilliant lunatics. Just what society should be.
And which is Goring? Beautiful idiot or the other thing?
I have been obliged for the present to put Lord Goring into a class quite by himself. But he is developing charmingly.
Into what?
I hope to let you know very soon, Lord Caversham.
Lady Markby, Mrs. Chiefley.
Dear Gertrude, so good of you to let me bring my friend Mrs. Chiefley. Two such charming women should know each other. I believe Mrs. Chiefley and I have met before. I did not know she had married a second time.
Nowadays people marry as often as they can, don't they?
Dear have we really met before, Lady Chiltern? I can't remember where. I've been out of the country for so long. Oh, why, we were in school together, Mrs. Chiefley. Really? I've forgotten all about my school days. I have a vague impression they were detestable. I'm not at all surprised. Do you know, Lady Chiltern, I'm so looking forward to meeting your clever husband. Since he's been in the Foreign Office, he's been so much talked of in Vienna. They actually succeeded in spelling his name right in the newspapers. That in itself is fame on the continent. Well, I hardly believe there will be much in common between yourself and my husband, Mrs. Chiefley.
Madame, Kirsten, please. I have not seen you since Berlin.
Not since 5 years ago.
And you are younger and more beautiful than ever. How do you manage it?
By making it a rule only to talk with perfectly charming people such as yourself.
You flatter me. Flatter me, as they say here.
Do they say that here? How dreadful of it.
Good evening, Lady Markby. I hope you have brought Sir John with you.
Oh, I have brought a much more charming person than Sir John. Sir John's temper, since he has taken seriously to politics, has become quite unbearable. Really, now that the House of Commons is trying to become useful, it does a great deal of harm.
I hope not. At any rate, we do our best to waste the public time, don't we? But who's this most charming person you've been so kind to bring to us?
Her name is Mrs. Chiefley. One of the Dorset Chiefleys, I suppose, that I really don't know. Families are so mixed nowadays, indeed, as a rule. Everybody turns out to be somebody else.
Mrs. Chiefley, I seem to know that name.
She's just arrived from Vienna.
Ah, yes, I think I know whom you mean.
She goes everywhere there and has such pleasant scandals about all her friends. I really must go to Vienna next winter. I hope they have a good chef at the embassy.
If there's not, the ambassador will certainly have to be recalled. Pray, point out Mrs. Chiefley to me. I should like to see her.
Let me introduce you. My dear, Sir Robert Chiltern is dying to know you.
Everyone is dying to know the brilliant Mrs. Chiefley. Our attachés in Vienna write of nothing else.
Thank you, Sir Walter. An acquaintance that begins with a compliment is sure to develop into a real friendship. It begins in the right manner. And I find that I know Lady Chiltern already.
Really?
Yes. She has just reminded me that we're at school together. I remember it perfectly now. She always got the good conduct prize. I have a distinct recollection of Lady Chiltern always getting the good conduct prize.
And what prizes did you get?
My prizes came a little later on in life. I don't think any of them were for good behavior. Yes.
I'm sure they were for something charming.
I don't know that women are usually rewarded for being charming. I think they're usually punished for it. Certainly more women grow old nowadays through the faithfulness of their admirers than through anything else. At least that is the only way I can account for the terribly haggard look of most of your pretty women here in London.
What an appalling philosophy that sounds. To attempt to classify you, Mrs. Cheveley, would be an impertinence. But may I ask, at heart, are you an optimist or a pessimist? Those seem to be the only two fashionable religions left to us nowadays.
Oh, I'm neither. Optimism begins in a broad grin, and pessimism ends in blue spectacles. Besides, they're both of them merely poses.
You prefer the natural.
Sometimes, but it is such a difficult pose to keep up.
What would those modern psychological novelists, of whom we hear so much, say to such a thing as that?
Oh, the strength of women comes from the fact that psychology cannot explain us. Men can't be analyzed. Women merely adored.
You believe that science cannot grapple with the problem of women?
Science can never grapple with the problem of the irrational. That is why it has no future before it, in this world.
And women represent the irrational.
Well-dressed women do.
I fear I can hardly agree with you there. But do sit down. Now tell me, what makes you leave your brilliant Vienna for our gloomy London? Or perhaps the question is indiscreet.
Questions are never indiscreet. Answers sometimes are.
Well, may I know whether it's for politics or pleasure?
Oh, politics are my only pleasure. You see, nowadays it is not fashionable to flirt till one is 40, or be romantic till one is 45. So we poor women who are under 30, or say we are, have nothing left to us except politics or philanthropy. And philanthropy seems to me to be simply the refuge for those people who wish to annoy their fellow creatures. I prefer politics. I think they are more becoming.
A political life is a noble career.
Sometimes. And sometimes it is a clever game, Sir Robert. And sometimes it is a great nuisance.
Oh, which do you find it?
A combination of all three.
Allow me.
Thanks.
But you have not yet told me what makes you visit London so suddenly. Our season is nearly over.
Oh, I don't care for the London season. It's too matrimonial. People are either hunting for husbands or hiding from them.
Well,
I really came to see you. It's quite true. You know what a woman's curiosity is. Almost as great as a man's. I wanted very much to meet you and to ask you to do something for me.
I hope it is not a little thing, Mrs. Cheveley. I do find little things so very difficult to do.
No, I don't think it is quite a little thing.
I'm so glad. Do tell me what it is.
Later on. And now may I walk through your beautiful house? I hear your pictures are charming. Poor Baron Arnheim, you remember the Baron? He used to say you had some wonderful corrodes.
Did you know the Baron well?
Intimately, did you?
Yes, at one time.
Wonderful man, wasn't he?
He was very remarkable in many ways.
I often thought it such a pity he never wrote his memoirs. They would have been most interesting.
He knew men and cities well, like the old Greek.
Without the dreadful disadvantage of having a Penelope waiting at home for him.
Lord Goring.
Good evening, dear Arthur. Mrs. Cheveley, allow me to introduce to you Lord Goring, the idlest man in London.
I have met Lord Goring before.
Mrs. Cheveley, I did not think you would remember me.
My memory is under admirable control. Are you still a bachelor?
I believe so.
How very romantic.
No, I'm not at all romantic. I'm not old enough. I leave romance to my seniors.
Lord Goring is a result of the Boodles Club, Mrs. Cheveley.
He reflects every credit on that institution.
May I ask, are you staying in London long?
That depends partly on the weather, partly on the cooking, and partly on Sir Robert.
You are not planning on plunging us into a European war, I hope.
There is no danger of that. At present.
You were very late.
Have you missed me?
Awfully.
Then I'm sorry I didn't stay away longer. I like being missed.
How very selfish of you.
I am very selfish.
You were always telling me of your bad qualities, Lord Goring.
And I've only told you half of them as yet, Miss Mabel.
Are the others very bad?
Quite dreadful. When I think of them at night, I go to sleep at once.
Well, I delight in your bad qualities. I wouldn't have you part with one of them.
How very nice of you, but then you are always nice. By the way, I want to ask you a question, Miss Mabel. Who brought Mrs. Jeetley here? That woman in heliotrope has just gone out of the room with your brother.
Oh, Lady Markby brought her, I think. Why do you ask?
I haven't seen her for years, that's all.
What an absurd reason.
Oh, all reasons are absurd.
What sort of a woman is she?
A genius in the daytime and a beauty at night.
I dislike her already.
That shows your admirable good taste.
Ah, the English young lady is quite the dragon of good taste, is she not? Quite the dragon of good taste.
So the newspapers are always telling us.
Oh, I read all your English newspapers. I find them so amusing.
Then, my dear little non-jock, you must certainly read between the lines.
I should like to what my professor James. May I have the pleasure of escorting you to the music room, mademoiselle?
Delighted, Vicomte. Quite delighted. Aren't you coming to the music room?
Not if there's any music going on, Miss Mabel.
The music is in German. You would not understand it.
Well, sir, what are you doing here? Wasting your life as usual, I suppose? You should be in bed, sir. You keep too late hours. Why, I heard of you the other night at Lady Rufford's dancing till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Only a quarter to 4, Father.
Can't make out how you stand London society. The whole thing has gone to the dogs. Nobody's talking about nothing.
I love talking about nothing, Father. It's the only thing I know anything about.
Seems to me to be living entirely for pleasure.
What else is there to live for, Father? Nothing ages like happiness.
You are heartless, sir. Very heartless.
Oh, I hope not. Good evening, Lady Bastleton.
Are you here? I had no idea you ever came to political parties.
I adore political parties. They're the only place left to us where people don't talk politics.
I delight in talking politics. I talk them all day long. But I can't bear listening to them. I have no idea how the unfortunate men in the house stand these long debates.
By never listening.
Really?
Of course. You see, if one listens, one may be convinced. And a man who allows himself to be convinced by an argument is a thoroughly unreasonable person.
That counts for so much in men that I have never understood, and so much in women that their husbands never appreciate in them. Oh, our husbands never appreciate anything in us. We have to go to others for that. Yes, always to others. We not.
And those are the views of the two ladies known to have the most admirable husbands in London.
That is precisely what we cannot stand. My Reginald is quite hopelessly faultless indeed. He is unendurably so, at times. There is not the smallest element of excitement in knowing him.
How terrible, really. The thing should be more widely known.
Basildon is quite as bad. He's as domestic as if he were a bachelor. My poor Olivia. We married perfect husbands and we are well punished for it.
I should have thought it was the husbands who were punished.
Oh dear, no! They are as happy as possible. And as for trusting us, it is tragic how they trust us. Perfectly tragic.
Or comic, Lady Basildon?
Certainly not comic, Lord Goring. How unkind of you to suggest such a thing. Lord Goring is in the camp of the enemy as usual. I saw him talking to Mrs. Cheveley when we came in.
Handsome woman, Mrs. Cheveley.
Please do not praise other women in our presence. You can't wait for us to do that.
I did wait.
Well, we are not going to praise her. I hear that Mrs. Cheveley went to the opera on Monday night, and afterwards told Tommy Rufford at supper that as far as she can see, London society is entirely made up of dowdies and dandies.
She's quite right, too. The women are all dandies and the men are all dowdies, aren't they?
Oh, do you really think that that's what Mrs. Cheveley meant?
Of course, and quite a sensible remark for Mrs. Cheveley to make, too.
What are you talking about, Mrs. Cheveley? Everybody's talking about Mrs. Cheveley. Lord Goring says... What did you say, Lord Goring, about Mrs. Cheveley? Oh, I remember. That she was a genius in the daytime and a beauty at night.
Oh, what a horrid combination. So very unnatural. I like looking at geniuses and listening to beautiful people.
That is morbid of you, Mrs. Marchmont. Morbid.
I am so glad to hear you say that, Lord Goring. Marchmont and I have been married 7 years, and he never once noticed that I'm morbid. That is so terribly unobservant. I've always said, dear Margaret, that you were the most morbid person in life.
pleasure.
How horrid you have been. You have never talked to me the whole evening.
How could I? You went away with the child diplomat.
You might have followed us. Our soup would have been only polite. I don't think I like you at all this evening.
I like you immensely.
I wish you'd show it in a more marked way.
Oh, my dear Olivia, I feel absolutely faint. Oh, I think I should like some supper. I know I should like some supper.
I am positively dying for supper, Margaret.
And they're so horribly selfish, they never think of these things.
Men are grossly material. Grossly material.
May I have the honor of escorting you to supper, Countess?
Oh, thank you, Vicomte. I never take supper. But I will come down with you with pleasure.
I am so fond of eating. I am very English in all my tastes.
Quite English, Vicomte. Quite English.
Would you like some supper, Mrs. Marchmont?
Thank you, Mr. Trafford. I never touch supper. But I will come with you and watch you while you eat.
I don't think I should like to be watched while I'm eating.
Well, then I should watch someone else instead.
Well, I don't think I should like that either.
Pray, Mr. Trafford, do not make these painful scenes of jealousy in public.
And are you planning on visiting any of our country houses before you leave England, Mrs. Cheveley?
Oh no, I can't stand your English house parties. In England, people actually try to be brilliant at breakfast. That's so dreadful of them. Only dull people are brilliant at breakfast. And then the family skeleton is always reading family prayers. No, my stay in London really depends on you, Sir Robert.
Seriously?
Quite seriously. I want to introduce you to a great political and financial scheme in the Argentine Canal Company. In fact,
What a tedious practical subject for you to talk about, Mrs. Cheveley.
oh, I like tedious practical subjects, but I don't like our tedious practical people. There's a wide difference. Besides, you were interested, I know, in international canal schemes. You were Lord Bradley's secretary, weren't you, when the government bought the Suez Canal shares?
Yes, but the Suez Canal was a great and splendid undertaking. It had imperial value. It gave us our direct route to India. It was necessary that we have control. This Argentine canal scheme is nothing but a commonplace stock exchange swindle.
A speculation, Sir Robert, a brilliant and daring speculation.
Believe me, Mrs. Cheveley, it is a swindle. Let us call things by their proper names. It makes matters simpler. Besides, we have all the information about it at the Foreign Office. In fact, I sent out a special commission to look into the matter privately, and they report that the work has hardly begun. And as for the money already subscribed, no one seems to know what has become of it. I hope you have not invested in it. I am sure you are far too clever to have done such a thing.
I've invested very largely in it.
Who could have told you to do such a thing?
Your old friend, and mine,
Who?
Baron Arnheim.
Yes, I remember hearing upon the time of his death. He was mixed up in the whole affair.
It was his last romance. His last but one, to do him justice.
But you have not yet seen my Corrots. They are in the music room. Corrots seem to go well with music. Would you like to see them?
No, I'm not in the mood tonight for silver twilights or rose-pink dawns. I want to talk business.
I'm afraid that I have no advice to give you, Mrs. Cheveley, except to interest yourselves in matters a little less dangerous. The success of the canal depends, of course, on the attitude of England. And I am going to lay the report to the Commission before the House tomorrow night.
That you must not do, Sir Robert. For your own interest, say nothing of mine. You must not do that.
In my own interest? My dear Mrs. Cheveley, what do you mean?
Sir Robert, I will be frank with you. I want you to withdraw the report you had intended to lay before the House on the reason you have grounds to believe that the commissioners have been misinformed or prejudiced or something. And then I want you to say a few words to the effect that the government is going to reconsider the question, and you have reason to believe the canal, if completed, will be of great international value. Will you do that for me?
Mrs. Cheveley, you cannot be serious in making me such a proposition.
I'm quite serious.
Pray allow me to believe that you are not.
Oh, but I am. And if you do what I ask, I will pay you very handsomely.
Pay me?
Yes.
I fear I don't quite understand what you mean.
How very disappointing. And I have come all the way from Vienna in order that you should thoroughly understand me.
I fear I don't.
Sir Robert, you are a man of the world, and you have your price, I suppose. Everybody has nowadays. The only disadvantage is everyone is so dreadfully expensive. I know I am. I hope you'll be more reasonable in your terms.
If you will allow me, I will call your carriage for you. You have been abroad so long, Mrs. Cheeley, that you seem unable to realize that you are speaking to an English gentleman.
I realize that I am talking to a man who laid the foundations of his fortune by selling to a stock exchange speculator a cabinet secret.
What do you mean?
I mean that I know the real origin of your wealth and your career, and I've got your letter, too.
What letter?
The letter you wrote to Baron Arnheim when you were Lord Bradley's secretary, telling the Baron to buy Suez Canal shares. A letter written 3 days before the government announced its own purchase.
It is not true.
You thought the letter had been destroyed. How foolish of you. It is in my possession.
The affair to which you allude was no more than a speculation. The House of Commons had not yet passed the bill. It might have been rejected.
It was a swindle, Sir Robert. Let us call things by their proper names. It makes everything simpler. And now I'm going to sell you that letter, and the price I ask for it is your public support of the Argentine Canal scheme. You made your own fortune out of one canal. You must help my friends and me make our fortunes out of another.
It is infamous what you propose. Infamous!
Oh, no. This is the game of life, as we all must play it, Sir Robert. Sooner or later.
I cannot do what you ask.
You mean you cannot help doing it. You are standing on the edge of a precipice, and it is not for you to make terms. It is for you to accept them. Besides, supposing you refuse.
What then?
My dear Sir Robert, what then? You're ruined, that is all. Scandals used to lend charm, or at least interest to a man. Now they crush him. And yours is a very nasty scandal. You couldn't survive it. If it were known that as a young man's secretary to a great and important minister, you sold a cabinet secret for a large sum of money, and that was the origin of your wealth and your position, you would be hounded out of public life. You would disappear completely. And besides, why should you sacrifice your entire future rather than deal diplomatically with your enemy? For the moment, I'm your enemy. I admit it. And I'm much stronger than you are. The big battalions are all on my side. You have your splendid position, but it's your splendid position which makes you so vulnerable. You can't defend it. And I am in the attack. But you must admit, I have not talked morality to you. In all fairness, I have spared you that. Years ago, you did a clever, unscrupulous thing. It turned out a great success. You owe to it your wealth and career. Now, you've got to pay for it. Sooner or later, we all must pay for what we do. You've got to pay now. Before I leave you tonight, you must promise to suppress your report and speak in the House in favor of this scheme.
What you ask is impossible.
You must make it possible. You are going to make it possible. Sir Robert, do you know what your English newspapers are like? Supposing when I leave here tonight, I drive down to one of their offices and give them this scandal and the proofs of it. Think of their loathsome joy in dragging you down into the mud and mire they would plunge you. Think of the hypocrite with his greasy smile penning the leading article and arranging the fountain.
Stop! You want me to withdraw the report and make a short speech stating that I believe there are possibilities in the scheme.
Those are my terms.
I'll give you any sum of money you want.
Even you are not rich enough to buy back your past, Sir Robert. No man is.
I will not do what you ask. I will not.
You've got to. If you do not.
Wait a moment. What did you propose? You said that you would give me back my letter, didn't you?
Yes, that is agreed. I'll be in the ladies' gallery at 11:30 tomorrow night. If by that time, and you will have had heaps of opportunity, you have made a speech to the House in the terms I wish, I will give you your letter with the prettiest thanks and the best, or at any rate, the most suitable compliment I can think of. I intend to play quite fairly with you. One should always play fairly when one has the winning cards. The Baron taught me that, among other things.
You must give me time to consider your proposal.
No, you've got to settle now.
Give me a week. 3 days!
Impossible. I've got to telegraph Vienna. Tonight.
What brought you into my life?
Circumstances.
Don't go. I consent. I will have the report withdrawn. And a question placed me on the subject.
Thank you, Sir Robert. I knew we should come to an amicable agreement. I understood your nature from the first. I analyzed you, though you did not adore me. And now, will you fetch my carriage for me? I see the people coming up after supper, and an Englishman always gets romantic after a meal, and that bores me dreadfully.
Well, dear Mrs. Cheveley, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Sir Robert is very entertaining, is he not?
Most entertaining. I've enjoyed my talk with him immensely.
He's had a most admirable and brilliant career, and he's married an excellent wife. Lady Chiltern is a woman of the very highest principle, I am glad to say. I'm a bit too old now myself to trouble about setting a good example, but I always admire people who do. Lady Chiltern has a very ennobling effect on life, though her dinner parties are a bit dull at times, but one can't have everything, can one? And I really must go, dear. Shall I call for you tomorrow?
Thanks.
We might drive to the park at 5. Everything is so fresh in the park now.
Except the people.
Perhaps the people are a bit jaded. I've often observed that the season as it goes on produces a kind of softening of the brain. However, anything is better than high intellectual pressure. That is the most unbecoming thing there is. It makes the noses of the young girls so particularly large, and there's nothing so difficult to marry as a large nose. I don't like them. Good night, dear. Good night, Gertrude.
What a charming house you have, Lady Chiltern. I spent a most delightful evening. It was so interesting getting to know your husband.
Oh, and why did you wish to know my husband, Mrs. Cheveley?
Oh, I will tell you. I wanted to interest him in the Argentine canal scheme, of which I dare say you have heard, and I found him most susceptible. Susceptible to reason, that is. A rare thing in a man. I converted him in 10 minutes. He's going to make a speech tomorrow night in favor of the scheme. We must go to the ladies' gallery and hear him. It will be a great occasion.
There must be some mistake. Why, that scheme would never have my husband's support.
Oh, I assure you it's all settled. I don't regret my tedious journey from Vienna now. It's been a great success. But of course, for the next 24 hours, the whole thing is a dead secret.
A secret? Between who?
Between your husband and myself.
Your carriage, Mrs. Cheveley.
Thanks, Sir Robert. Good night, Lady Chiltern. Good night, Lord Goring. I'm staying at Claridge's. Don't you think you might leave a card?
If you wish it.
Oh, don't be so serious. I should be obliged to leave a card on you. And I don't suppose that's something allowed here. Abroad, we'll be more civilized. Will you show me out, Sir Robert? Now that we have the same interests at heart, we should be great friends, I hope.
What a horrid woman!
You should go to bed, Miss Mabel.
Lord Goring!
My father told me to go to bed an hour ago. I don't see why I shouldn't give you the same advice. I always pass on good advice. It's the only thing to do with it. Never of any use to oneself.
Lord Goring, you are always ordering me out of the room. I think it most courageous of you, especially as I am not going to bed for hours. You can come and sit down if you like, and talk about anything in the world, except the Royal Academy, Mrs. Cheveley, or novels in Scotch dialect. They are not improving subjects. What is this? Someone has dropped a diamond brooch. Quite beautiful, isn't it? I wish it was mine, but Gertrude won't let me wear anything but pearls. I am thoroughly sick of pearls. They make one look so plain, so good, and so intellectual. I wonder whom the brooch belongs to.
I wonder who dropped it.
It is a beautiful brooch.
It is a handsome bracelet.
It isn't a bracelet, it's a brooch.
It could be used as a bracelet.
What are you doing?
Miss Mabel, I'm going to make a rather strange request of you.
Oh, pray do. I've been waiting for it all the evening.
Don't mention to anybody that I've taken charge of this brooch. Should anyone write and claim it, let me know at once.
That is a strange request.
Well, you see, I gave this brooch to someone years ago.
You did?
Yes.
Then I shall certainly bid you good night. Good night, Gertrude.
You saw whom Lady Markby brought here tonight.
Yes, it was an unpleasant surprise. What did she come here for?
Apparently to try to lure Robert into upholding some fraudulent scheme in which she's interested. Why, the Argentine Canal, in fact.
She's certainly mistaken her man, hasn't she?
She's incapable of understanding an upright nature like my husband's.
I should fancy she came to grief if she tried to get Robert into her toils. It's extraordinary what astounding mistakes clever women make.
I don't call women of that kind clever. I call them stupid.
Same thing often. Good night.
My dear Arthur, you are not leaving. Do stop a little.
No, afraid I can't. Thanks. I promised to look into the hot box tonight. I believe they have a Moab-Hungarian band playing Moab-Hungarian music. But I'll see you soon.
How beautiful you look tonight, Gertrude.
Robert, it is not true, is it? You're not going to uphold this Argentine speculation. You couldn't.
Who told you I intended to do so?
That woman, Mrs. Cheevely, has just gone out. She seemed to taunt me with it. Robert, I know this woman. You don't. We were at school together. She was evil, dishonest, an evil influence on every person whose trust or friendship she could win. I hated, I despised her. She was a thief. She stole things. She was sent away for being a thief. Robert, why do you let her influence you?
Gertrude, what you say may be true, but it happened many years ago. It is best forgotten. Mrs. Cheevely may have changed since then. One should not be entirely judged by their past.
But one's past is what one is. Why, it is the only way by which any person should be judged.
That is a hard saying, Gertrude.
It is a true saying, Robert. And what did she mean by saying she'd gotten you to lend your support? Your name. To the very thing I've heard you describe as the most dishonest and fraudulent scheme there's ever been in political life.
I was mistaken in the view I took. We all make mistakes.
But you told me yesterday that you had received the report from the commission, and that it entirely condemned the whole thing.
I have reason now to believe that the commission was prejudiced, or at any rate misinformed. Besides, Gertrude, public life and private life are different things. They have different laws and move on different lines.
But they should both represent man at his highest. Why, I see no difference between them.
In a matter of practical politics, I have changed my mind. That is all.
All?
Yes!
Robert! Oh, it's horrible I should even have to ask you such a question. Robert, are you telling me the whole truth?
Why do you ask me such a question?
Why do you not answer it?
Gertrude, truth is a very complex thing. And politics is a very complex business. There are wheels within wheels. One may be under certain obligations to others that one must pay. Sooner or later in political life, one has to compromise. Everyone does.
Compromise? Robert, why do you talk so differently tonight than the way I've always heard you talk? Why are you changed?
I am not changed. But circumstances alter things.
Circumstances should never alter your principles.
But if I told you
What?
that it was necessary, vitally necessary.
Robert, it can never be necessary to do that which is not honest. Or if it be necessary, what is it that I have loved? But it is not. Robert, tell me it is not. What would you gain by it? Money? Well, we have no need of that. And money that comes from a tainted source is a degradation. Power? But power is nothing in itself. It is the power to do good that is fine, that and that only. Well, what is it then? Robert, tell me why you're going to do this dishonest thing.
Gertrude, you have no right to use that word! I told you it was a question of rational compromise. It is no more than that.
Robert, that is all very well for other men. Men who treat life simply as a sordid speculation. But not for you, Robert. Not for you. You are different. All your life you have stood apart from others. You've never let the world soil you. Why, to the whole world, as to myself, you've been an ideal always. Be that ideal still, that great inheritance throw not away, that tower of ivory do not destroy. Robert, men can love things beneath them, things stained, unworthy, dishonored. But we women worship when we love. And when we lose our worship, We've lost everything. Don't kill my love for you. Robert, don't kill that.
Gertrude!
I know there are some men with horrible secrets in their lives. Men who have done some act of shame and in some critical moment have to pay for it by doing another act of shame. Oh, don't tell me you're such as they are, Robert. Robert, is there in your life any secret dishonor or disgrace? You must tell me. Tell me at once. Tell me that...
That what?
That our lives may drift apart.
Drift apart?
That they may be entirely separate. It would be better for us both.
Gertrude, there is nothing in my past life that you might not know.
I was sure of it, Robert. I was sure of it. Why did you say those dreadful things? Things so unlike yourself. Don't ever let us talk about the subject again. You will write, won't you, to Mrs. Cheveley, and tell her that you cannot uphold this scandalous scheme of hers? And if you have given her any promise, you must take it back. That is all.
Must I write and tell her that?
Why, surely. What else is there to do?
I could go and see her personally. It would be better.
No. She's not a woman you should ever speak to. She is not worthy to talk to a man like you. No, you must write it now, once this moment. And let your letter show her that your decision is quite irrevocable.
Right this moment.
Why, yes.
It's so late. It's nearly 12.
That makes no matter. She must know at once that she's been mistaken in you. That you are not a man to do anything base or underhand or dishonorable. Right here, Robert. Write that you decline to support this scheme of hers as you hold it to be a dishonest one. And yes, even write the word dishonest. She knows what that word means. Yes, that will do. And now for the envelope. Have this sent at once to Claridge's Hotel. There is no answer. Robert, love gives one an instinct to things. And I feel that tonight I may have saved you from something that might have been a danger to you. Something that may have made men honor you less than they do now. I don't think you realize sufficiently, Robert, that you have brought into the political life of our time a nobler atmosphere, a finer attitude toward life, a freer air, purer aims, and higher ideals. I know it. And for that, I love you, Robert.
Oh, love me always, Gertrude. Love me always.
I will love you always, because you will always be worthy of love. And we must love the highest when we see it.
Put out the lights, Mason! Put out the lights.
Business. Very awkward indeed. You should have told your wife the entire thing. Favors from other people's wives are a necessary luxury in modern life. So at least I'm told at the club by people who are bald enough to know better. But no man should have a secret from his own wife. She invariably finds out. Women have a wonderful instinct about these things. They can discover everything. Everything except for the blatantly obvious.
Arthur, I couldn't tell my wife. When could I have told her? Not last night. It would have made a lifelong separation between us. I would have lost the love of the one woman in the world I worship. The only woman who has ever stirred love within me. Last night would have been quite impossible. She would have turned from me in horror and in contempt.
Is Lady Chiltern as perfect as all that?
Yes, my wife is as perfect as all that.
What a pity. I'm sorry, I didn't quite mean it like that. But if what you tell me is true, I should like to have a serious talk about life with Lady Chiltern.
It would be quite useless.
May I try?
Yes, but nothing could alter her views.
Well, at the worst, it would simply be a psychological experiment.
All such experiments are terribly dangerous.
Everything is dangerous, my dear fellow. If life wasn't so, it wouldn't be worth living. Well, I'm bound to say that I think you should have told her years ago.
When we were engaged, do you think that she would have married me if she had known the origin of my fortune was such as it is? The basis of my career such as it is? And that I have done a thing that I suppose most men would call shameful and dishonorable?
Yes. Yes, most men would call it ugly names. There's no doubt about that.
Men who every day do something of the same kind themselves. Men who each one of them have worse secrets in their own lives.
That is the reason why they're so pleased to find out other people's secrets. It distracts public attention from their own.
And after all, whom did I wrong by what I did? No one.
Except yourself, Robert.
Of course, I had private information about a certain transaction, contemplated by the government of the day, and I acted on it. Private information is practically the source of every large modern fortune.
And public scandal invariably the result.
Do you really think, Arthur, that what I did nearly 18 years ago should be brought up against me now? Do you think it fair that a man's whole career should be ruined by an act done in one's boyhood almost? I was 22 at the time, and I had the double misfortune of being well-born and poor. Two unforgivable things nowadays. Is it fair that the folly, the sin of one's youth, that men should choose to call a sin, should wreck a life like mine, should place me in the pillory, should shatter all that I have worked for, all that I have built up? Is it fair, Arthur?
Life is never fair, Robert. And perhaps it is a good thing for most of us that it is not.
Every man of ambition has to fight his age with its own weapons. What this century worships is wealth. The god of this century is wealth. To succeed, one must have wealth. At all costs, one must have wealth.
You underrate yourself, Robert. Without wealth, you could have succeeded just as well.
When I was old, perhaps. When I had lost my passion for power, but could not use it. When I was tired, worn out, disappointed. I wanted success when I was young. Youth is the time for success. I couldn't wait.
No one has had such a brilliant success such as yours. Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs at the age of 40? Well, that's good enough for anyone, I should suppose.
And if it is all taken away from me now, if I lose everything over some horrible scandal, if I am driven from public life.
Robert, how could you have sold yourself for money?
I did not sell myself for money. I bought success at a great price. That is all.
Yes, you certainly paid a great price for it. But what made you first think of doing such a thing?
Baron Arnheim.
A scoundrel?
No. He was a man of most subtle and refined intellect. A man of culture, charm, and distinction. He was one of the most intellectual men I have ever met.
So I prefer a gentlemanly fool any day. There's more to be said for stupidity than people imagine. Personally, I have great admiration for stupidity. It's sort of a fellow feeling, I suppose. But how did he do it? Tell me the entire thing.
One night, after dinner at Lord Radley's, the Baron began talking about success in modern life, as if it could be reduced to an absolutely definite science. With that wonderfully fascinating, quiet voice of his, he expounded to us the most terrible of all philosophies, the philosophy of power. Preached to us the most marvelous of all gospels, the gospel of gold. He must have seen the effect he had produced upon me, for some days later he wrote and asked me to come and see him. He was living then in Park Lane, in the house Lord Wolcombe has now. I can still remember how with a strange smile on his pale, curved lips, he led me to his wonderful picture galleries, showed me his tapestries, his carved ivories, his enamels, and his jewelry. It made me wonder at the strange loveliness and luxury in which he lived, and then told me that luxury was nothing but a background, painted scene in a play. And that power over others, power over the world, is the one thing worth having, the one supreme pleasure worth knowing, the one joy one never tired of. And that in this century, only the rich possessed it.
A thoroughly shallow creed.
I didn't think so then. I don't think so now. Wealth has given me enormous power. It gave me at the outset freedom. And freedom is everything. You have never known what it means to be poor. Never known what ambition is. You could not understand what a chance the Baron gave me. Such a chance as few men get.
Fortunately for them, if one is to judge by results. But tell me definitely, how did he finally persuade you to do what you did?
When I was leaving, he told me that if I could ever give him any private information of real value, he would make me a very rich man. I was dazed at the prospects he held out to me. My ambition and desire for power were at that time boundless. 6 weeks later, certain private documents passed through my hands.
State documents?
Yes.
I had no idea that you, of all the men in the world, could have been so weak, Robert, as to yield to such a temptation as Baron Arnheim held out to you.
Weak? Do you really think, Arthur, that it is weakness that yields to temptation? I tell you, there are terrible temptations, that it takes strength and courage to yield to stake all of one's life on a single moment, to risk everything on one throw, whether for power or pleasure, I care not. There is no weakness in that. There is a terrible courage, and I had that courage. I sat down the very same afternoon and wrote Baron Arnheim the ledger this woman now holds. And the Baron made $750,000 off the transaction.
And you?
I received from the Baron 110,000 pounds.
You were worth more, Robert.
No. That money gave me exactly what I wanted. Power over others. I went into the house immediately. The Baron advised me in finances from time to time. Before 5 years, I had nearly trebled my fortune. Since then, everything I have touched has turned out a success. I have had a luck so extraordinary, everything connected with finances, that sometimes it has made me almost afraid. I remember reading somewhere, in some strange book, that when the gods wish to punish us, they answer our prayers.
But you didn't never feel any remorse, any regret for what you had done?
No. I felt that I had fought my age with its own weapons, and won.
You thought you had won.
I thought so. Arthur, do you despise me for what I have told you?
I'm very sorry for you, Robert. Very sorry indeed.
I don't say that I had any remorse. I didn't. Not remorse in the ordinary, rather silly sense of the word. But I have paid conscious money many times. I had a hope that I might disarm destiny. The sum that the Baron gave me, I have given twice over to public charities since then.
In public charities? Dear me, what a lot of harm you must have done, Robert.
Don't say that! Arthur, don't talk like that!
Never mind what I say. I'm always saying what I shouldn't say. In fact, I usually say what I really think. A great mistake nowadays. Makes one so liable to be misunderstood. As regards this dreadful affair, I'll help you in any way that I can. Of course you know that.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you. But what is to be done? What can be done?
Well, English can't stand a man who's always saying that he's in the right. But they're very fond of a man who admits to being in the wrong. It's one of the best things in them. However, in your case, a confession would not do. The money, if you allow me to say so, is awkward. No, if you did make a clean breast of the whole affair, you'd never be able to talk morality again. And in England, a man who can't talk morality twice a week to a large, popular, and moral audience is quite over a serious politician. There'd be nothing left for him. Nothing left for him as an occupation except for botany. Bought near the church. No, a confession would not do. It would ruin you.
It would ruin me. Arthur, it seems that the only thing left for me to do now is to fight the thing out.
I've been waiting for you to say that. And you must first begin by telling your wife the entire thing.
That I will not do.
Robert, you were wrong.
It would kill her love for me. And now, for this woman, Mrs. Cheapy. How can I defend myself against her? You knew her before, Arthur, apparently.
Yes.
Well, did you know her well?
So little that I was engaged to be married to her when I was staying at the Timbies. The affair lasted 3 days. Nearly.
Why was it broken off?
Oh, I can't remember. At least it makes no matter. By the way, if you tried her with money, she used to be confoundedly fond of money.
I offered her any sum of money she wanted. She refused.
Then the marvelous gospel of gold breaks down sometimes. The rich can't do everything.
Not everything. I suppose you are right. Arthur, I feel that public disgrace is in store for me. I feel certain of it. I have never known what terror was before. I know it now. It is as if a hand of ice were placed upon one's heart. As if one's heart were beating itself to death in some empty hollow.
You must fight her, Robert! You must fight her!
But how?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't the slightest idea. But there is weakness in each one of us. There is flaws in each one of us. My father tells me even I have faults. Perhaps I have. I don't know.
In defending myself against Mrs. Cheveley, I have the right to use any weapon I can find, have I not?
Oh, in your place, I wouldn't have the smallest scruple in doing so. She is thoroughly well able to take care of herself.
Well, I shall send a telegram to the embassy at Vienna to inquire if there is anything known against her. There might be some secret scandal she might be afraid of.
Oh, I should fancy Mrs. Cheveley one of those very modern women who find scandal is becoming a new bonnet and air them every afternoon in the park at 5:30. I'm sure she adores scandal, and that the sorrow in her life is that she can't manage to have enough of them.
Why do you say that?
She wore far too much rouge last night and not quite enough clothes. It's always a sign of despair in a woman.
But it is worth my while writing to Vienna, is it not?
It's always worthwhile asking a question, although it's not always worthwhile answering one.
Is Mr. Trafford in his room?
Yes, Sir Robert.
Tell him to have this sent off in a cipher at once. There must not be a moment's delay.
Yes, Sir Robert.
Oh, give that back a moment. Mrs. Cheveley must have had some curious hold over the Baron. I wonder what it was.
I wonder.
Well, as long as my wife knows nothing, I will fight her to the death.
Fight in any case. In any case.
If my wife found out, there would be little left to fight for. Well, as soon as I hear back from Vienna, I will let you know the results. It is a chance, just a chance. But I believe in it, just as I have fought my age with its own weapons. I will fight her with her own weapons. Besides, she looks like a woman with a past, doesn't she?
Most pretty women do. But there is a fashion in past, just as there is a fashion in frocks. And perhaps Mrs. Cheveley's past is merely a slightly décolleté one, and they are excessively popular nowadays. Besides, I should not put too high hopes of frightening Mrs. Cheveley. Should not fancy Mrs. Cheveley a woman to be easily frightened. She survived all her creditors, and she shows wonderful presence of mind.
Oh, I live on hopes now. I clutch at every chance. I am like a man on a ship that is sinking. The water is around my feet. The very night air is bitter with storm.
Robert!
Hush! I hear my wife's voice.
Good afternoon, Lord Goring.
Good afternoon, Lady Chiltern. Have you been in the park?
No, I've just come from the Women's Liberal Association, where, by the way, Robert, your name was received with loud applause, and I've come in to have my tea. Oh, you will stay for tea, won't you?
For a short time, thanks.
Well, I'll be back in a moment. I'm only going to take off my bonnet.
Please don't. It's such a lovely hat, one of the loveliest hats I've ever seen. I hope the Women's Liberal Association received it with loud applause.
We have much more important work to do than look at each other's bonnets, Lord Goring.
Really? What sort of work?
Oh, dull, useful, delightful things, why? Factory inspections, the 8-hours bill, the parliamentary franchise, female inspectors, everything, in fact, that you would find thoroughly uninteresting.
And never bonnets?
Never bonnets, Lord Goring. Never bonnets.
You have been a good friend to me, Arthur. A thoroughly good friend.
Oh, I don't think I've been able to do much for you. In fact, I don't think I've been able to do anything for you as far as I can see. I'm thoroughly disappointed in myself.
You have enabled me to tell the truth. That is something.
Oh,
The truth has always stifled me.
the truth is something I get rid of as soon as possible. It makes one very unpopular at the club, especially with the older members. They call it being conceited. Yes, it is.
I would to God that I had been able to tell the truth. To live the truth. That is the great thing in the world. To live the truth. I shall see you again soon, Arthur. Shan't I?
Certainly, whatever you like. I'm going to look at the Hartlocks tonight, unless I find something better to do. In the meantime, if you should like to see me, send a note round to Curzon Street.
Thank you.
You're not going, are you, Robert?
I have some letters to write, dear.
Robert, you work too hard. You seem never to think of yourself, and you're looking so tired.
It is nothing, dear. Nothing.
Do sit down. I'm so glad you've called. I want to talk to you about, well, not about bonnets, or the Women's Liberal Association. You take far too much interest in the first subject and not nearly enough in the second.
You want to talk to me about Mrs. Cheveley?
Yes, you have guessed it. Why, after you left last night, I found out that what she had said was really true. Of course, I made Robert write a letter at once, withdrawing his promise.
So he gave me to understand.
To have kept it would have been the first stain on a career that's been stainless always. Robert must be above reproach. He is not like other men. He cannot afford to do what other men do. Why don't you agree with me? You are Robert's greatest friend. You're our greatest friend, Lord Goring. Why, no one except myself knows Robert better than you. He has no secrets from me, and I don't think he has any from you.
He certainly has no secrets from me. At least I don't think so.
Then am I not right in my estimate of him? I know I'm right, but do speak to me frankly.
Right, frankly?
Why, surely. You have nothing to conceal, have you?
Nothing, but I think, Lady Chiltern, if you allow me to say so, that in practical life,
Practical life, of which you know so little, Lord Goring.
of which I know nothing by experience, although I do know something by observation, I think that in practical life there's something about success, actual success, that is a little unscrupulous, something about ambition that is unscrupulous always. Once a man has set his heart and soul upon reaching a certain point, if he has to climb the crag, he climbs the crag. If he has to walk in the mire,
Well,
he walks in the mire. Of course, I'm only speaking generally about life.
well, I certainly hope so. Why do you look at me so strangely, Lord Goring?
Lady Chiltern, I've sometimes thought that maybe you're a little hard in some of your views on life, that perhaps you don't make for sufficient allowances. In every nature there are elements of weakness, or worse than weakness. Supposing any public man, my father, or Lord Melton, or Robert, had years ago written a foolish letter.
What do you mean by a foolish letter?
A letter gravely compromising one's position. Of course, I'm only speaking theoretically.
Well, Robert is as incapable of doing a foolish thing as he is of doing a wrong thing.
No one is incapable of doing a foolish thing. Nobody is incapable of doing a wrong thing.
Are you a pessimist then? Why, Lord Goring, what will the other dandies say? They will all have to go into mourning.
No, Lady Chiltern, I am not a pessimist. In fact, I don't quite know what pessimism really means. All I do know is that life cannot be understood without much charity, cannot be lived without much charity. And that is love. Love and not German philosophy that is the true explanation of this world, whatever may be the explanation of the next. And if you are ever in need of any help, lady children, come to me directly. If you ever want me, come to me for my assistance, and you shall have it. Come at once to me.
Lord Goring, you're talking to me quite seriously. Why, I never heard you talk seriously before.
It won't happen again if I can help it.
But I do like you to be serious.
Dear Gertrude, don't say such a dreadful thing to Lord Goring. Seriousness would be very unbecoming to him. Good afternoon, Lord Goring. Pray be as trivial as you can.
I should like to, but I'm a little out of practice. And besides, I must be going.
Just when I have come in, what dreadful manners you have. I'm sure you were very badly brought up.
I was.
I wish I had brought you up.
I'm sorry you didn't.
It is too late now, I suppose.
I'm not so sure.
Will you come tomorrow morning?
Yes, at 10.
Don't forget.
Of course I shan't. Oh, by the way, lady children, there was no list of your guests in the Morning Post as of today. It's been apparently crowded out by the Land Bands Conference or the County Council or something equally as boring. Could I have a list of your guests? I do have a particular reason for wanting it.
I'm sure Mr. Trafford would be glad to give you one.
Thanks so much.
Tommy is the most useful person in London.
And who is the most ornamental?
I am.
How clever of you to guess it. You will remember what I told you, won't you?
Yes, but I'm not quite sure why you told it to me.
I hardly know myself. Goodbye, Miss Mabel.
I wish you were not going. I've had 4 wonderful adventures this morning. 4.5, in fact. You might stop and listen to some of them.
4.5? How very selfish of you to have 4.5. There won't be any left for me.
I don't want you to have any. They would not be good for you.
That's the first unkind thing you've ever said to me. And how charmingly you said it. Till tomorrow.
Sharp.
Quite sharp. And don't bring Mr. Trafford.
Of course I shan't bring Tommy Trafford. Tommy Trafford is in great disgrace.
Delighted to hear it.
Gertrude, I wish you would speak to Tommy Trafford.
Why, Mabel, what has poor Mr. Trafford done this time? Why, Robert says he's the best secretary we've ever had.
Well, Tommy has proposed to me again. Tommy really does nothing but propose to me. He proposed to me last night in the music room, when I was quite unprotected as there was an elaborate trio going on. I didn't dare to make the smallest repartee, I need hardly tell you. If I had, it would have stopped the music at once. Musical people are so absurdly unreasonable. They always want one to be perfectly dumb, at the very moment when one is longing to be absolutely deaf. Then he proposed to me in broad daylight this morning, in front of that dreadful statue of Achilles. Really, the things that go on in front of that work of art are quite appalling. Police should interfere. And then Tommy is so annoying in the way he proposes. If he proposed at the top of his voice, I should not mind so much. That might produce some effect on the public. But he does it in a horrid, confidential way. When Tommy wants to be romantic, he talks to one just like a doctor. I'm very fond of you, but his methods of proposing are quite out of date. I wish you would speak to him, Gertrude, and tell him that once a week is quite often enough to propose to anyone. And that should always be done in a manner that attracts some attention.
Dear Mabel, don't talk like that. Why, Robert is very fond of Mr. Trafford, and he says he has a brilliant future before him.
Oh, I wouldn't marry a man with a future before him for anything under the sun.
Mabel!
I know, dear. You married a man with a future, didn't you? But then, Robert was a genius, and you have a noble, self-sacrificing character. You can stand geniuses. I have no character at all. Robert is the only genius I could ever bear. As a rule, I think they're quite impossible. Geniuses talk so much, don't they? Such a bad habit. And they're always thinking about themselves, when I want them to be thinking about me. Oh, I must go round and rehearse at Lady Castleton's. You remember we were having tableaus, don't you? The triumph of something, I don't know what. I hope it will be triumph of me. Only triumph I'm really interested in at present. Mrs. Cheveley in a most lovely gown.
Did you ask her? Mrs. Cheveley coming to see me? Impossible.
I assure you she is coming upstairs, as large as life and not nearly so natural.
You needn't wait, Mabel. Remember, Lady Basildon is expecting you.
Oh, I must shake hands with Lady Markley. She is delightful. I love being scolded by her.
Lady Markby, Mrs. Cheveley.
Dear Lady Markley, how nice of you to come and see me. Won't you sit down, Mrs. Cheveley? Thanks. Isn't this Miss Chiltern? I should so much like to know her. Mabel, Mrs. Cheveley would like to know you. I thought your talk last night so charming, Miss Chiltern, so simple and suitable.
Really? I must tell my dressmaker. It will be such a surprise to her. Goodbye, Lady Markley.
Going already?
I'm so sorry, but I am obliged to. I'm just off to rehearsal. I've got to stand on my head in Santa Claus.
On your head, child? Well, I hope not. I believe it is most unhealthy.
But it is for an excellent charity, in aid of the undeserving, the only people I am really interested in. I am the secretary, and Tommy Trafford is treasurer.
And what is Lord Goring?
Lord Goring is president.
The post should suit him admirably, unless he has deteriorated since I first knew him.
You are remarkably modern, Mabel. A bit too modern, perhaps. There's nothing so dangerous as being too modern. One is apt to grow old-fashioned quite suddenly. I've known many instances of it.
What a dreadful prospect.
My dear, you need not be nervous. You will always be as pretty as possible, and that is the best fashion there is. Indeed, it is the only fashion England succeeds in setting.
Thank you so much, Lady Markley, for England. And myself.
Dear Gertrude, we just stopped by to see if Mrs. Cheveley's diamond brooch had been found.
Here. Yes, I missed it last night when I got back to Claridge's and thought I might possibly have dropped it here. Well, I've heard nothing about it, but I will send the butler and ask. Oh, pray don't trouble, Lady Chiltern. I dare say I dropped it at the opera before we came on here.
Yes, I suppose it must have been at the opera. The fact is, we all scramble and jostle about so much nowadays that I wonder we have anything at all left on us at the end of an evening. I know myself that when I'm coming back from the drawing room, I always feel as if I hadn't a shred left on me, except a small shred of decent reputation, just enough to keep the lower classes from making painful observations through the windows of the carriage. The fact is that our society is terribly overpopulated, really. Someone should come up with a good scheme of assisted emigration. It would do a great deal of good.
Oh, I agree, Lady Markby. It's been 6 years since I've been in London for the season, and I must say society has gotten dreadfully mixed. One meets the oddest people everywhere.
Yes, it is true, dear, but one needn't know them. I'm sure I don't know half the people who come to my house, and from what I hear, I shouldn't like to.
What sort of a brooch was it that you lost, Mrs. Cheveley? A diamond snake brooch.
And very becoming, I'm quite sure.
Mason, has a diamond snake brooch been found in any of the rooms this morning?
No, my lady.
Pray don't trouble, Lady Chiltern. It's really of no consequence. I'm sorry to put you to any inconvenience. Oh, it's been no inconvenience. Thank you, Mason. That will be all. You may bring us tea.
Well, I must say it is most annoying to lose anything. I remember once at that, losing in the pump room an exceedingly handsome cameo bracelet which Sir John had given me. I do not think he's given me anything since, I'm sorry to say. He's sadly degenerated. Really, this horrid House of Commons quite ruins our husbands for us. I think the lower house quite the greatest blow to happy married life that there has been since that terrible thing called the higher education of women was invented.
But that is heresy to say in this house, Lady Markby. Why, Robert is a great champion of the higher education of women. And so, I'm afraid, am I. The higher education of men is what I should like to see. Men need it so sadly.
They do, dear, but I do not think such a scheme would be very practical. Man does not have much capacity for development. He's got as far as he can, and that is not far, is it? As regards women, well, dear Gertrude, you're one of the younger generation, and I suppose it must be all right if you approve of it. In my time, of course, we girls were taught not to understand anything. That was the old system, and wonderfully interesting it was. Why, I can assure you that the number of things I and my poor dear sister were taught not to understand was quite extraordinary. But the modern woman understands everything, I'm told.
Except her husband. That is one thing the modern woman never understands.
And quite a good thing too, dear. Might break up many a happy home if they did. Not yours, and you'd hardly say, Gertrude. You have married a pattern husband. I wish I could say the same for myself, but since Sir John has taken to attending the debates regularly, which he never used to do in the good old days, his language has become quite impossible. He always seems to think that he is addressing the House, and consequently, whenever he discusses the state of the agricultural labourer, or the Welsh church, or something very improper of that kind, I'm always obliged to send all the servants out of the room. It is not pleasant to see one's own butler, who's been with one for 23 years, actually blushing at the sideboard, and footmen making contortions in corners like persons in circuses. Sir John is really a great trial. Why, this morning, before breakfast was half over, he stood up on the hearthrug, put his hands in his pockets, and appealed to the country at the top of his voice. I left the table as soon as I had had my second cup of tea, and he'd hardly say, but his violent language could be heard all throughout the house. I trust, Gertrude, that Sir Robert is not like that.
But I am very much interested in politics, Lady Markby. Why, I love to hear Robert talk about them.
Well, I hope he is not as devoted to blue books as Sir John is. I do not think they can be quite improving reading for anyone.
I've never read a blue book. I prefer books in yellow covers.
Yellow is a gayer colour, is it not? I used to wear yellow a good deal in my younger days, and would do so still if Sir John were not so painfully personal in his observations. And a man on the subject of dress is always ridiculous, is he not?
Oh, I think men are the only authority on dress.
Really? One wouldn't say so from the sort of hats they wear, would one?
May I get you some tea, Mrs. Cheever? Thanks. Some tea, Lady Markby.
No thanks, dear. The truth is that I had promised to come around for 10 minutes to see poor Lady Brancaster, who was in very great trouble. Her daughter, and a very well-brought-up girl too, has actually become engaged to be married to a curate in Shropshire. It is very sad indeed. I cannot understand this modern mania for curates. In my time, of course, we girls saw them running about the place like rabbits, but we never took any notice of them, I can hardly say. But nowadays, I hear that country society is quite honeycombed with them. I think it most irreligious. And then the eldest son is quarreled with his father, and it is said whenever they meet at the club, Lord Brancaster always hides himself behind money articles in the Times. However, I do not think that is quite rare occurrence nowadays. They are obliged to take an extra copy of the Times and all the clubs in St. James Street. There are so many sons who would have anything to do with their fathers, and so many fathers who won't speak to their sons. I think myself it is very much regretted.
Oh, I agree, Lady Markby. Fathers have so much to learn from their sons nowadays.
Really, dear? What?
The art of living. The only really fine art we have produced in modern society.
Well, I'm afraid Lord Brancaster knew a good deal about that, more than his poor wife ever did. Do you know Lady Brancaster, don't you, dear?
I do, slightly. She was staying at Langton last autumn when we were there.
Well, like all stout women, she looks the very picture of happiness. I don't know if she noticed. But she has had many tragedies in her family, besides this affair of the curate. Her own sister, Mrs. Jekyll, led a most unhappy life, through no fault of her own, I'm sorry to say. In the end, she was so broken-hearted that she went into a convent, or onto the operatic stage. I forget which. No, I believe it was decorative art needlework that she took up. I know that she had lost all sense of pleasure in life. And now, dear, if you will allow me, I shall leave Mrs. Cheveley in your care and come back for her in a quarter of an hour. Or perhaps, dear Mrs. Cheveley, you wouldn't mind waiting in the carriage while I'm with Lady Brancaster. As I mean it to be a visit of condolence, I shan't stay long.
Oh, I don't mind waiting in the carriage, provided there is someone to look at one.
Well, I hear that the curate is always prowling about the house.
Well, I do hope Mrs. Cheveley will stay here a few minutes. Why, I would love to have a few minutes of conversation with her.
Why, thank you, Lady Chiltern. Believe me, nothing would give me great pleasure.
Ah, no doubt you would have very many pleasant reminiscences of your school days to talk over together. Oh, shall I see what Lady Bronard tonight? She has discovered a wonderful new genius. He does nothing at all, I believe. That is a great comfort, is it not?
Well, Robert and I are dining at home by ourselves tonight, and I don't think I shall go anywhere afterwards. Robert, of course, will have to be in the house, but there's nothing interesting going on.
Dining at home by yourselves? Is that quite prudent? No, but I forget. Your husband is the exception. Mine is the general rule. And nothing ages a woman so rapidly as having married the general rule.
Wonderful woman, Lady Markby, isn't she? Talks more and says less than anyone I've ever met. She was made to be a public much more so than our president. Though he is a typical Englishman, always darling, usually violent.
Mrs. Cheveley, I think it right to tell you quite frankly that had I known who you really were, I should not have invited you to my house last night.
Really?
I could not have done so.
I see you have not changed a bit, Gertrude.
I never change.
Then life has taught you nothing.
It is taught me that a person who has once been guilty of a dishonest and dishonorable action may be guilty of it a second time, and should be shunned.
Would you apply the rule to everyone?
Yes, to everyone, without exception.
Then I'm sorry for you, Gertrude. Really sorry for you.
You see now, I'm sure that for many reasons any further acquaintance between us during your stay in London is quite impossible.
Do you know, Gertrude, I don't mind your talking morality a bit to me. Morality is merely the attitude we adopt towards those people whom we personally dislike. You dislike me. I'm well aware of that. And I've always detested you. And yet I've come here today to render you a great service.
Oh, a service? Like the service you wished to render my husband last night, I suppose. Why, thank heaven I saved him from that.
It was you who made him write that insolent letter to me. It was you who made him break his promise.
Yes.
Then you must make him keep it. I will leave you to tomorrow, if by that time your husband does not solemnly bind himself to help me in this great scheme.
This fraudulent speculation.
Call it what you choose. I hold your husband in the hollow of my hand, and if you are wise, you will make him do what I tell him.
You are impertinent. What has my husband to do with you? With a woman like you?
In this world, like meets like. It is because your husband is himself fraudulent and dishonest that we pair so well together. Between you and he, there are chasms. He and I are closer than friends. We are enemies linked together. The same sin binds us.
How dare you class my husband with yourself? How dare you threaten either him or me? Leave my house, you are unfit to enter
Your house! A house bought with the price of dishonor. A house, everything in which was paid for by fraud. Ask him what the origin of his fortune is. Get him to tell you how he sold to a stockbroker a cabinet secret. Learn from him to what you owe your position.
It is not true. Robert, tell her it is not true.
Look at him. Can he deny it? Does he dare to?
Go! Go at once! You have done your worst now!
My worst? I have not finished with you, with either of you. I will give you both till tomorrow at noon. If by that time you do not do as I bid you, the whole world shall know the origin of Robert Chiltern.
Show Mrs. Cheveley out.
You sold a cabinet secret for money. You began your life with fraud. You built up your career on dishonor. Lie to me. Tell me it is not true. Lie to me.
What this woman says is quite true. But Gertrude, listen to me. You don't realize how I was tempted. Let me tell you the whole thing.
Don't come near me. Don't touch me. I feel as if you had soiled me forever. What a mask you've been wearing all these years, a horrible painted mask. You sold yourself for money. A common thief or better. You put yourself up for sale to the highest bidder. You were bought in the market. You lied to the whole world. And yet you will not lie to me.
Gertrude! Gertrude!
Don't speak. Say nothing. Your voice wakes terrible memories. Memories of things that made me love you. Memories of words that made me love you. Memories that now are horrible to me. Now I worshipped you. You were to me something apart from common life. Something pure, noble, honest, without stain. The world seemed to be finer because you were in it. And goodness more real because you lived. And now, when I think that I made of a man like you my ideal, the ideal of my life.
There was your mistake! There was your error! The error all women commit. Why can't you women love us faults and all? Why do you have to place us on monstrous pedestals? We have all feet of clay, women as well as men. But when we men love women, we love them knowing their faults, their weaknesses, their imperfections, and love them all the more, it may be, for that reason. It is not the perfect, but the imperfect who have need of love. It is when we are wounded, either by our own hands or the hands of others, that love should come to cure us. Else what use is love at all? All lives, save loveless lives, true love should forgive. All sins, save a sin against itself, love should pardon. Women think that they're making ideals of men. They're making false idols merely. You made your false idol out of me. But I had not the courage to come down, show you my wounds, tell you my weaknesses. I was afraid that I might lose your love. So I have lost it now. So last night you ruined my life for me. Yes, ruined it. What this woman asked of me was nothing compared to what she offered. She offered security, peace, stability. The sin of my youth, which I had thought was buried, rose up in front of me, hideous, horrible, with its hands at my throat. I could have killed it, sent it back into its tomb, destroyed its record, burnt the one witness against me. But you prevented me. No one but you. You know it. Now what is left for me? A public disgrace, ruin, shame, the mockery of the world, a lonely, dishonored life, a lonely, dishonored death it may be someday. Let women make no more ideals of men. Let them not set them on altars and bow before them. Or they may ruin other lives as completely as you. You whom I have so wildly loved have ruined mine.
Brother!
Got my second buttonhole for me, Phipps?
Yes, my lord.
Rather distinguished thing, Phipps. I'm the only person of the smallest importance at present who wears a buttonhole.
Yes, my lord, I have observed that.
You see, Phipps, fashion is what one wears oneself. What is unfashionable is what other people wear.
Yes,
Just as vulgarity is simply the conduct of other people.
yes, my lord.
And falsehoods the truths of other people.
Yes, my lord.
Other people are quite dreadful. The only possible society is oneself.
Yes, my lord.
To love oneself, Phipps, is the beginning of a lifelong romance.
Yes, my lord.
You know, I don't think I quite like this buttonhole, Phipps. It makes me look a little too old. Almost in the prime of my life, eh, Phipps?
I don't observe any alteration in your lordship's appearance.
You don't, Phipps?
No, my lord.
I'm not so sure. For the future, a more trivial buttonhole on Thursday evenings.
I will speak to the florist, my lord. She has had a loss in her family lately, which perhaps accounts for the lack of triviality your lordship complains of in the buttonhole.
It's the ordinary thing about the lower classes in England. They're always losing their relations.
Yes, my lord. They are extremely fortunate in that respect.
Any letters for me, Phipps?
3, my lord.
Want my cab around in 20 minutes. Oh, wait a moment. When did this letter arrive?
It was brought by hand just after your lordship went to the club.
That will do. Rather curious. Lady Chiltern's handwriting on Lady Chiltern's pink notepaper. Thought what was to write. I want you. I trust you. I'm coming to you. Gertrude. Want you. Trust you. Oh. So she's found out everything. The poor woman. Poor woman. What's an hour to call? Nearly 10. Have to give up going to the Berkshires. Although it's always nice to be expected and not to arrive. Not expected at the Bachelor's, so I shall certainly go there. Well, make her stand by her husband. It's the only thing for her to do. 10 o'clock, she shall be here soon. Must self ipsum not into anyone else.
Lord Caversham.
Why do parents always arrive at the wrong time? It's second nature, I suppose. Delighted to see you, Father.
Look off.
Is it worthwhile, Father?
Of course it is worthwhile, sir. Which is the most comfortable chair?
That one, Father.
Okay. No drafts, I hope, in this room?
No, Father.
Glad to hear it. Can't stand drafts. No drafts at all.
Good many breezes, Father.
Eh? Can't understand you, sir. Want to have a serious conversation with you, sir.
My dear Father, at this hour?
It is only 10 o'clock, sir. What is your objection to the hour? I think the hour is an admirable hour.
Well, the fact is, Father, that this is not my day for talking seriously. I'm very sorry, but it's simply not my day.
What do you mean, sir?
During the season, Father, I only talk seriously on the first Tuesday of every month from 4 to 7.
Well, make it Tuesday, sir. Make it Tuesday.
But it is after 7, Father, and the doctor says I must not have any serious conversation after 7. It makes me talk in my sleep.
Talk in your sleep, sir? What does that matter? You are not married.
No, Father, I am not married.
That is what I have come to talk to you about. You have to get married, sir, and at once. Why, when I was your age, I had been an inconsolate widower for 3 months, and was already paying my addresses to your admirable mother. You can't be always living for pleasure, sir. Every man of position is married nowadays. Bachelors are not fashionable anymore. They're a damaged lot. Too much is known about them. You must get a wife, sir. Look where your friend Robert Chiltern has got you by probity, hard work, and a sensible marriage to a good woman. Why don't you imitate him, sir? Why don't you take him for your model?
I think I shall, Father.
I wish you would, sir. Then I should be happy. At present, I make your mother's life miserable on your account. You are heartless, sir. Quite heartless.
Oh, I hope not, Father.
And it is high time for you to get married. You are 34 years of age, sir.
But I only admit to 32. 31 and a half when I have a really good buttonhole. This buttonhole isn't trivial enough.
I tell you, you are 34, sir. And there's a draft in your room besides, which makes your conduct worse. I tell you there's a draft, sir. I feel it distinctly.
So do I, Father. It's a dreadful draft. I will come and see you tomorrow, Father. We can talk over anything you'd like.
No, sir. I have come tonight for a definite purpose, and I intend to see it through at all costs in my health department. Go! Put down my cloak, sir.
Certainly, Father, but let us go into another room. There is a dreadful draft in here. Is there a good fire in the smoking room?
Yes, my lord.
My dear Father, let us go into there. Your Caesars are quite heartrending.
Well, I suppose I have a right to sneeze when I choose.
Quite so, Father. I was merely expressing sympathy.
Oh, hang sympathy. There's a great deal too much of that sort of thing going around nowadays.
I quite agree with you, Father. If there was less sympathy in the world, there'd be less trouble in it.
That is a paradox, sir. I hate paradoxes.
So do I, Father. Everyone one meets nowadays is paradox. It is a great bore, makes society so obvious.
You always quite understand everything you say, sir.
Yes, Father, if I listen attentively.
Listen attentively, conceited young puppy.
Pips, there's a lady coming to see me on particular business. Show her into the drawing room when she arrives, you understand?
Yes, my lord.
It is a matter of gravest importance, Phipps.
I understand, my lord.
No one else is to be admitted, under any circumstances.
I understand, my lord.
That is probably the lady. I shall see her myself.
Well, sir, am I to wait in attendance on you?
In a moment, Father. Show her in. You remember my instructions.
Is Lord Goring not at home?
His lordship told me to ask you, madam, to be kind enough to wait in the drawing room for him. His lordship will come to you there.
Lord Goring expects me.
Yes, madam.
Are you quite sure?
His lordship told me that if a lady called, I was to ask her into the drawing room. His lordship's directions on the subject were very precise.
How thoughtful of him. To expect the unexpected is a thoroughly modern intellect. How dreary a bachelor's drawing room always looks. I shall have to change all this. No, I don't care for that lamp. It's far too glaring. Light some candles.
Certainly, madam.
I hope the candles have very becoming shades.
We have had no complaints about them, madam. As yet.
What a good woman he is waiting for tonight. Delightful catcher. Men always look so silly when they are caught. They are always being caught. What a very interesting room. What a very interesting picture. What does correspondence look like? Very uninteresting correspondence. Bills and cards, debts and dowagers. What on earth writes them on pink notepaper? How silly to write on pink notepaper. It looks like the beginning of a middle-class romance. Romance should never begin with sentiment. It should begin with science and end with settlement. I know that handwriting. That is Gertrude Chiltern's. I remember it perfectly. The moral law all over the page and the 10 Commandments in every stroke of the pen. What did she be writing to him about? Something horrid about me, I shouldn't wonder. How I detest that woman. I want you. I trust you. I'm coming to you. Gertrude. I want you. I trust you. I'm coming to you.
The candles in the drawing room are lit, madam, as you directed.
Thanks.
I trust the shades will be to your liking. They're the most becoming we have. They're the same as his lordship uses himself when he is dressing for dinner.
Then I'm sure they will be perfectly right.
Thank you, madam.
I see your employed plainly, sir. You would put me off. Within the month, I say.
My dear father, if I'm to get married, surely you will allow me to choose the time, the place, the person. Particularly the person.
That is a matter for me, sir. You would probably make a very poor choice. It is I who should be consulted, not you. No, there's property at stake. It is not a matter for affection. Affection comes later on in married life.
Yes, in married life, affection comes when people thoroughly dislike each other, doesn't it, Father?
Certainly, sir. I mean, certainly not, sir. You are talking very foolishly tonight. What I say is that marriage is a matter for common sense.
But women who have common sense are so curiously plain, Father, aren't they? Of course, I only speak from hearsay.
No woman, plain or pretty, has any common sense at all, sir. Common sense is the special privilege of men.
And we men are so self-sacrificing that we never use it.
I use it, sir. I use nothing else.
So my mother tells me.
It is the secret of your mother's happiness. You are heartless, sir. Very heartless.
I hope not, Father.
What a piece of good luck finding you here on your doorstep. Your servant had told me you were not at home. How extraordinary.
But the fact is, Robert, that I'm horribly busy tonight. I even told my servant I was not home to anyone else. Even my father had a comparatively cold reception, complained of the draft the entire time.
You must be at home to me, Arthur. You are my best friend. Perhaps by tomorrow, you will be my only friend. My wife has discovered everything.
I guessed as much.
Really? How?
Merely by something in the expression of your face as you came in. Who told her?
Mrs. Cheveley herself. Now the woman I love knows that I began my career on an act of low dishonesty, that I built up my life on sands of shame, and that I sold, like a common huckster, the one secret that had been entrusted to me as a man of honor. I thank God poor Lord Bradley died without knowing I had betrayed him. I would to God that I had died before I had been so horribly tempted or fallen so low.
You've heard nothing yet from Vienna in answer to your wire?
Yes. I received a telegram from the first secretary at 8 o'clock tonight.
Well?
Nothing is absolutely known against her. On the contrary, she holds a rather high position in society. It is a sort of open secret that Baron Arnheim left to her the greater portion of his immense fortune. Beyond that, I can learn nothing.
She doesn't turn out to be a spy, then?
Spies are of no use to us. Their profession is over. The newspapers do their job instead.
And thunderingly well they do it.
Arthur, I'm parched with thirst. May I read for something?
Certainly. Allow me.
Hawk seltzer. Thank you, Arthur. I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. You are my only friend. What a friend you are. The only friend I can trust. I can trust you absolutely, can't I?
Of course. Some Hawk and Seltzer, Phipps.
Yes, my lord.
Oh, and Phipps, do excuse us for a moment. I do need to give some instruction to my servant. When that lady arrives, tell her I'm not at home. Tell her that I'm suddenly being expected out of town or something.
The lady is in that room, my lord. You told me to show her into that room, my lord.
You did perfectly right. Oh, what a mess I am in. No, I shall get through it. I shall give her a lecture through the door or something. Awkward to manage, though.
Arthur, tell me what I should do. My whole life seems to have crumbled around me. I am a ship without a rudder, and a night without a star.
You love your wife, don't you?
I love my wife more than anything in the world. I used to think ambition the great thing. It is not. Love is the greatest thing in the world, and I love her. But I am ignoble in her eyes. I am defamed in her eyes, and there is a wide gulf between us now. She has found me out, Arthur. She has found me out.
Has she never in her life done some folly, some indiscretion that she may not forgive your sin?
My wife? Never. She does not know what weakness or temptation is. I am a clay like other men, but she stands apart as good women do, pitiless in her perfection, cold and stern without mercy. But I love her, Arthur. We are childless, and I have no one else to love. No one else to love me. Perhaps if God had sent us children, she might have been kinder to me. If God has given us a lonely house, she has cut my heart in two. But don't let us talk of that. I was brutal to her this evening. But I suppose when sinners talk to saints, they are brutal always. I said to her things hideously true, from my side, from my standpoint, from the standpoint of men. But don't let us talk of that.
Your wife will forgive you. Perhaps at this very moment she is forgiving you. She loves you, Robert. Why should she not forgive?
God grant it. God grant it. But Arthur, there is something else I need to tell you.
Hawk and Seltzer, sir.
Thank you.
Did you bring your carriage?
No, I walked from the club.
Sir Robert will take my cap, Phipps.
Yes, my lord.
Don't mind me sending you away.
Arthur, you must let me stay for 5 minutes. I made up my mind what I'm going to do in the house tonight. The debate on the Argentine Canal begins at 11. What was that?
Nothing?
I heard a chair fall over in the next room. Someone has been listening.
No, there is no one there.
There is someone there. There are lights in the room. The door is ajar. Someone has been listening to every secret of my life. Arthur, tell me what this means.
Robert, you are excited, unnerved. I tell you there is no one in that room. Pray, sit down, Robert.
You give me your word there's no one there.
Yes.
Your word of honor.
Yes.
Arthur, you must let me see for myself.
No!
No. If there is no one there, why should I not go into that room? Arthur, let me look into that room and satisfy myself. Let me know that no one has learned my life's secret. Arthur, you don't realize what I'm going through.
Robert, I've told you there is no one in that room. That's enough.
It is not enough. I insist on going into this room. You have said there is no one there. What reason have you for refusing me?
For God's sake, don't! There was someone in that room. Someone whom you must not see. I thought so. I forbid you to enter that room.
Stand back. My life is at stake, and I don't care who is in there. I will know to whom I have told my secret and my shame.
Great heavens, his own wife!
What explanation have you for the presence of that woman here?
Robert, upon my word of honor, that woman is stainless and guiltless of all offense.
She is vile and infamous then.
Don't say that, Robert. It was for your sake that she came here. It was to try and save you that she came here. She loves you and no one else.
You are mad. What have I to do with her intrigues with you? Let her remain your mistress. She corrupt and shameful. You, false as a friend, treacherous as an enemy.
It is not true, Robert. Before heaven, it is not true. In your presence and in hers, I will explain all.
Let me pass, sir. You have lied enough upon your word of honor.
Good evening, Lord.
Mr. Chiefly, may I ask what you're doing in my drawing room?
Listening. I have a perfect passion for listening through keyholes. One always hears such wonderful things through them.
Doesn't that sound rather like tempting Providence?
Oh, surely Providence can resist temptation by this time.
I'm glad you have called. Going to give you some good advice.
Oh, pray don't. One should never give a woman anything she can't wear in the evening.
I see you're quite as willful as you used to be.
Far more. I have greatly improved. I've had more experience.
Too much experience is a dangerous thing. Pray, have a cigarette. Half the pretty women in London smoke cigarettes. Personally, I prefer the other half.
Thanks, I never smoke. My dressmaker wouldn't like it, and a woman's first duty in life is to her dressmaker, isn't it? What the second duty is, no one has yet discovered.
You've come here to sell me Robert Chiltern's letter, haven't you?
To offer to, on certain conditions. How did you guess?
Because you haven't mentioned the subject. Have you got it with you?
Oh no, a well-made dress has no pockets.
What is your price for it?
How absurdly English you are. The English think a checkbook can solve every problem in life. My dear Arthur, I have quite as much money as you have, and quite as much money as Robert Chiltern has got hold of. Money is not what I want.
What do you want for it then, Mrs. Chiefly?
Why don't you call me Laura?
I don't like that name.
You used to adore it.
Yes, that's why.
Arthur, you loved me once,
Yes,
and you asked me to be your wife.
that was the natural result of my loving you.
And you threw me over because you saw, or said you saw, poor old Lord Mortlake trying to put violent flirtation with me in the conservatory at Tenby.
I'm under the impression that my lawyer settled that with you under certain terms, dictated by yourself.
At the time, you were rich. I was poor.
Quite so. That's why you pretended to love me.
Poor old Mortlake, who only had two topics of conversation, his gout and his wife. I could never make out which of the two he was talking about. He used the most horrible language about them both. Well, you were silly, Arthur. My Lord Mortlake was never nothing more to me than an amusement. One of those utterly tedious amusements one finds at an English country house on an English country Sunday. I don't think anyone at all morally responsible for what he or she does at an English country house.
Yes, I know lots of people think that.
I loved you, Arthur.
My dear Mrs. Cheveley, you've always been far too clever to know anything about love.
I did love you, and you loved me. You know you loved me. And love is a very wonderful thing. I suppose that when a man has loved a woman, he will do anything for her except continue to love her.
Yes, except that.
I'm tired of living abroad. I want to come back to London. I would have a charming house here. I would have a salon. If one could only teach the English how to speak and the Irish how to listen, society here would be quite civilized. Besides, I've arrived at the romantic stage. When I saw you last night at the Chilterns, I knew you were the only person I'd ever cared for. If I'd ever cared for anyone, Arthur. And so, on the morning of the day you marry me, I will give you Robert Chiltern's letter. That is my offer. I will give it to you now, if you promise to marry me.
Now?
Tomorrow.
Are you really serious?
Quite serious.
I should make for you a very bad husband.
Oh, I don't mind. I've had two. They amuse me immensely.
You mean you amused yourself immensely?
What do you know about my married life?
Nothing, but I can read it like a book.
What book?
The Book of Numbers.
Do you think it is quite charming to be so rude to a woman in your own house?
In the case of very fascinating women, that is a challenge, not an offense.
I suppose that is meant for a compliment, my dear Arthur. Women are never disarmed by compliments. Men always are. That's the difference between the two.
Women are never disarmed by anything as far as I know them.
Then you're going to allow your greatest friend, Robert Chiltern, to be ruined rather than marry someone who really has considerable attractions left. I thought you would rise to some great height of self-sacrifice, Arthur. I think you should. And then the rest of your life could be spent in contemplating your own perfection.
So I do that as it is. And self-sacrifice is a thing that should be put down by law. It is so demoralizing that one self-sacrifices oneself. They always go to the bad.
As if anything could demoralize Robert Chiltern. You forget. I know his real character.
What you know is not his real character, but an act of folly done in his youth. Dishonorable, I admit. Shameful, I admit. Unworthy of him, I admit. And therefore, not his true character.
How you men stand up for one another.
How you women war against each other.
I only war against one woman, against Gertrude Chiltern. I hate her. I hate her now more than ever.
Because you have brought a real tragedy in her life, I suppose.
There is only one tragedy in a woman's life. The fact that her past is always her lover, and her future invariably her husband.
Lady Chiltern knows nothing of the type of life which you are alluding.
A woman whose size in gloves is 7 3/4 never knows much about anything. You know, of course, that Gertrude has always worn 7 3/4. That is why there was never any moral sympathy between them. Well, Arthur, I suppose this romantic interview may be regarded as an end. You admit it was romantic, don't you? For the privilege of being your wife, I was ready to surrender a great prize, the climax of my diplomatic career. You refuse. Very well. If Robert Chiltern does not uphold my Argentine scheme, I expose him. Voila tu.
You mustn't do that. You would be vile, horrible, infamous.
Oh, don't use such big words. They mean so little. It's a commercial transaction, that's all. There's no use mixing sentimentality into it. I offer to sell Robert Chiltern a certain thing. If he will not pay my price, he will have to pay the world a greater one. That is all that is to be said. I must go. Goodbye. Won't you shake hands?
With you, never. Your transaction with Robert Chiltern may pass as a loathsome commercial transaction of a loathsome commercial age, but you seem to have forgotten that you came here tonight to talk of love. You whose lips desecrate the word love, you to whom the thing is a book closely sealed, went this afternoon to the house of one of the most noble and gentle women in all of England, to degrade her husband in her eyes, to try and kill her love for him, to put poison in her heart and bitterness in her life, to break her idol and as it may be, spoil her soul. That I cannot forgive. That was horrible. For that there can be no forgiveness.
Arthur, you are unjust to me. Believe me, you were quite unjust to me. I didn't go to taunt Gertrude at all. I called with Lady Marshby merely to find whether an ornament, a jewel that I lost somewhere, had been found at the Chilterns. If you don't believe me, you can ask Lady Marshby. She would tell you it is true. The scene that occurred afterwards was really forced on me by Gertrude's rudeness and sneers. I called, a little out of malice, if you like, but really to see whether a brooch of mine had been found. That was the origin of the whole affair.
A diamond snake brooch.
Yes, how did you know?
Because it is found. In point of fact, I found it myself and stupidly forgot to tell the butler anything about it as I was leaving. Oh. Is this it?
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad to have it back. It was a present.
Won't you wear it?
Certainly. You will pin it on me. Why do you put on as a bracelet? I didn't know it could be worn as a bracelet.
Really?
No, it looks very well on me as a bracelet, don't you think?
Yes, much better than when I saw it last.
When did you see it last?
On my cousin Mary Berkshire, from whom you stole it.
What do you mean?
I mean that you stole that ornament from my cousin Mary Berkshire, to whom I gave it when she was married. Suspicion fell on a wretched servant who was sent away in disgrace. I found it last night, and I determined to say nothing about it until I found the thief. I have found the thief now and heard her own confession.
It's not true.
You know it's true. Why, thief is written across your face at this very moment.
I'll deny the whole thing from beginning to end. I'll say I've never seen this wretched thing that was never in my possession.
The drawback of stealing a thing, Mrs. Cheveley, is that one never knows how wonderful that the thing that one steals is. You can't take that bracelet off unless you know where the spring is, and I see you don't know where the spring is. It's rather difficult to find.
You brute! You coward!
Oh, don't use such big words. You mean so little.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to ring for my servant. He's an admirable servant, always comes when one rings for him. When he comes, I'm going to call for the police.
The police? What for?
Tomorrow the Berkshires will prosecute you. That is what the police are for.
Don't do that. I will do anything you want. Anything in the world you want.
Give me Robert Chiltern's letter.
Stop! Stop, let me have time to think.
Give me Robert Chiltern's
I have
letter.
not got it with me. I will give it to you tomorrow.
No, you've got it with you now. Give me at once. This is it?
Yes.
Unlike me.
Please get me a last one.
Certainly.
No. No.
Thanks. Will you get my cloak for me?
With pleasure.
I'm never going to try to harm Robert Chiltern again.
Fortunately, you've not the chance.
Even if I had, I wouldn't. On the contrary, I'm going to render him a great service.
Glad to hear it. It's a reformation.
Yes, I can't bear to see so honest a gentleman, so upright and English gentleman, so shamefully deceived and so...
Well?
I find that somehow Gertrude Chiltern's dying speech and confession has made it into my pocket.
What do you mean?
I mean I'm going to send Robert Chiltern the love letter his wife wrote to you tonight.
Love letter?
I want you, I trust you, I'm coming to you.
You wretched woman! Must you always be thieving? Give me back that letter! I'll take it from you by force! You should not leave this room until I've got it!
Good
It's a great nuisance. Can't find anyone in this house to talk to. And I'm full of interesting information. Feel like the latest edition of something or other.
Sir Robert is still at the Foreign Office, my lord.
Lady Chiltern not down yet.
Her ladyship has not yet left her room. Miss Chiltern has just come in from Rye.
Ah, that's it something.
Lord Caversham has been waiting some time in the library for Sir Robert. I told him your lordship was here.
Thank you. Would you kindly tell him that I've left?
I shall do so, my lord.
Really, I don't want to meet my father 3 days running. It's a great deal too much excitement for any son. Hope to goodness he won't come up. Fathers should be neither seen nor heard. That is the only proper basis of family life. Mothers are different. Mothers are darlings.
Well, sir, what are you doing here today? Wasting your time as usual, I suppose?
When one pays a visit, it's for the purpose of wasting other people's time, not one's own.
Have you been thinking over what I spoke to you about last night?
Been thinking of nothing else.
Engaged to be married yet?
Not yet, but I hope to be before lunchtime.
If you could have till dinner time, it would be of any convenience to you.
Thanks awfully, but I'd sooner be engaged before lunch.
Never know when you are serious or not.
Neither do I, Father. Neither do I.
I suppose you read the Times this morning?
The Times? Certainly not. I only read the Morning Post. All that one should know about modern life is where the duchesses are. Anything else is quite demoralizing.
Do you mean to say you have not read the Times' leading article on Robert Chiltern's career?
Good heavens, no! What does it say?
Yes, sir. Everything complimentary, of course. Chiltern's speech last night on this Argentine canal scheme was one of the finest pieces of oratory ever given in the House since Canning.
Canning? Never heard of Canning, and never wanted to. And, did Chiltern uphold the scheme?
Hold it, sir. How little you know him. I denounced it roundly in the whole system of modern political finance. This speech is the turning point in his career, as the Times points out. You should read this article, sir. Sir Robert Chiltern, most rising by young statesman, brilliant orator, unblemished career, well-known integrity of character, represents what is best in English public life. Noble contrast to the lax morality so common among foreign politicians. They will never say that of you, sir.
Oh, I hope not, Father. But I'm glad at what you tell me about Robert. Thoroughly delighted. It shows he's got pluck.
He's got more than pluck, sir. He has got genius.
Oh, I prefer pluck. That's so common nowadays as geniuses.
I wish you would go to Parliament.
My dear Father, only people who look dull ever get into the House of Commons, and only people who are dull ever succeed there.
Why don't you try to do something useful with your life?
I'm too young.
Oh, I hate this affectation of youth, sir. It's a great deal too prevalent nowadays.
Youth isn't an affectation. Youth is an art.
Why do you oppose that pretty Miss Chiltern?
I'm of a very nervous disposition, especially in the morning.
I suppose there's the smallest chance of her accepting you.
I don't know how the betting stands today.
If she did accept you, she would be the prettiest fool in England.
That is just what I should like to marry. A thoroughly sensible wife would reduce me to a state of absolute idiocy in less than 6 months.
You don't deserve her, sir.
My dear Father, if we men married the women that we deserved, we should have a very bad time of it.
Oh, how do you do, Lord Caversham? I hope Lady Caversham is quite well.
Lady Caversham is as usual,
Good morning, Miss Mabel.
And Lady Caversham's bonnets, are they at all better?
They've had a serious relapse, I'm sorry to say.
Good morning, Miss Mabel.
I hope an operation will not be necessary.
If it is, we shall have to give Lady Caversham a narcotic. Otherwise she would never consent to have a feather touch.
Good morning, Miss Miss Mabel.
Oh, are you here? Of course you understand that after your breaking your appointment, I am never going to speak to you again.
Oh, please don't say such a thing. You're the one person in London I'd really like to have to listen to me.
Lord Goring, I never believe a single word either you or I say to each other.
You're quite right, my dear, quite. As far as he is concerned, I mean.
Do you think you could possibly make your son behave a little better occasionally? Just as a change.
I regret to say, Miss Chiltern, I have no influence at all over my son. I wish I had. If I had, I know what I would make him do.
I'm afraid he has one of those terribly weak natures that are not susceptible to influence.
He is heartless, very heartless.
It seems I'm a little in the way here.
It is very good for you to be in the way, and to know what people say of you behind your back.
I don't at all like knowing what people say of me behind my back. It makes me far too conceited.
For that, my dear, I really must bid you good morning.
Oh, I hope you are not going to leave me all alone with Lord Goring, especially at such an early hour in the day.
Well, I really can't take him with me to Downing Street. It is not the Prime Minister's day for seeing the unemployed.
People who don't keep their appointments in the park are horrid.
Detestable.
I'm glad you admit it, but I wish you wouldn't look so pleased about it.
I'm sorry. I always look pleased when I'm with you.
Then I suppose it is my duty to remain with you.
Of course it is.
Well, my duty is a thing I never do, on principle. It always depresses me. So I'm afraid I must leave you.
Please don't, Miss Mabel. I have something very particular to say to you.
Oh, is it a proposal?
Well, yes it is. I'm about to say it is.
I am so glad. That makes the second today.
The second today? What impertinent ass has been so impertinent to dare to propose to you before I propose to you?
Tommy Trafford, of course. It's one of Tommy's days for proposing. Tommy always proposes on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the season.
You didn't accept him, I hope.
I make it a rule never to accept Tommy. That is why he goes on proposing. Of course, as you didn't turn up this morning, I very nearly said yes. It would have been an excellent lesson, both for him and for you, if I had. You would have taught him all better manners.
Oh, bother Tommy Trafford. Tommy is a silly little ass. I love him.
I know. And I think you might have mentioned it before. I'm sure I have given you heaps of opportunities.
Oh, Mabel, do be serious. Please be serious.
That is the sort of thing a man always says to a girl before he has been married to her. He never says it afterwards.
Mabel, I have told you that I love you. Can't you love me just a little in return?
You silly Arthur! If you knew anything about anything, which you don't, you would know that I adore you. Everyone in London knows it except you. It is a public scandal the way I adore you. I've been going about for the last 6 months, telling the whole of society that I adore you. No one even said to have anything to say to me. I have no character left at all. At least, I'm so happy I feel quite sure I have no character left at all.
Awfully afraid of being refused.
But you never have been refused by anybody yet, have you, Arthur? I can't imagine anyone refusing you.
And I'm not nearly so good enough for you.
I'm so glad, darling. I was afraid you were.
And I'm just a little over 30.
Dear, you look weeks younger than me.
How nice of you to say so. And it's only fair to tell you that I'm fearfully extravagant.
But so am I, Arthur. So we're sure to agree. And now I must go and see Gertrude.
Must you really?
Yes.
Well, then do tell her that I must talk with her particularly. I've been waiting here all afternoon to talk to either her or Robert.
Do you mean to say you didn't come here expressly to propose to me?
No, that was a flash of genius.
First.
My last.
I'm delighted to hear it. Now don't stir. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And don't fall into any temptations while I am away.
While you were away, Mabel, there are none. It makes me horribly dependent on you.
Good morning, dear. How pretty you're looking. How pale you are looking, Gertrude. It is most becoming.
Good morning, Lord Goring.
Good morning, Lady Chiltern.
I shall be in the conservatory, under the second palm tree on the left.
Second on the left.
Yes, the usual palm tree.
Lady Chiltern, I have some good news to tell you. Mrs. Cheveley gave me up Robert's letter last night, and I burned it. Nearly burned myself. Well, it's safe.
Safe! Oh, I'm so glad. What a good friend you are to him, to us.
There's only one person who could be in any sort of danger.
In danger? Why, who?
Yourself.
Myself in danger?
I mean, danger is too great of a word. It's a word that I should not have used. However, there is something that I must tell you that may distress you, that terribly distresses me. Yesterday, you wrote me a very beautiful, womanly letter asking me for my help. You wrote to me as one of your oldest friends, as one of your husband's oldest friends. Mrs. Cheveley stole that letter from one of my rooms.
Well, why should she not have it? Of what use is it to her?
Lady Chiltern, I will be quite frank with you. Mrs. Cheveley puts a certain construction on that letter and proposes to send it to your husband.
But what sort of a construction could she put on? Oh no! Oh, not that! Not that! If I in trouble, trusting you, wanting your help, propose to come to you that you may advise me, assist me. Oh, are there women as horrible as all that? When she proposes to send it to my husband? Oh, tell me what happened. Tell me all that happened.
Mrs. Cheveley was concealed in a room adjoining my library, without my knowledge. I thought the person that was waiting in that room to see me was yourself. Robert came in unexpectedly. A chair or something fell in the room. He forced his way in and discovered her. We had a terrible scene. I still thought that the person in that room was yourself. He left me in anger. And at the end of everything, Mrs. Cheveley got possession of your letter. She stole it. When or how, I don't know.
At what hour did this happen?
At 10:30. And now I propose that we tell your husband the entire thing.
What? You want me to tell him that it was not Mrs. Cheveley, but myself whom you expected last night? Then it was I whom you thought was concealed in a room, in your house, at 10:30 at night? You want me to tell him that?
I think it better that he should know the exact truth.
Oh, I couldn't. I couldn't.
May I?
No.
Believe me, Lady Chiltern, you are wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. No, the letter must be intercepted, that is all. But how can I do it? Letters arrive for him all the time. His secretaries open them and hand them to him. I dare not ask one of his secretaries to give me his letters. It would be impossible. Why don't you tell me what to do?
Pray be calm, Lady Chiltern, and answer the questions I'm going to put to you. You said his secretaries opened his letters, correct?
Yes.
Who's with him today? Mr. Trafford, isn't it?
No, Mr. Montfort, I think.
You could trust him.
Well, how should I know?
He would do what you asked of him, wouldn't he?
Yes, I suppose.
Your letter was written on pink paper. He could recognize it without reading it, by the color.
Yes.
Then I propose that I go to him at once and tell him that a certain letter written on pink paper is to be forwarded to your husband, and that at all costs it must not reach him. Oh, he's coming upstairs with a letter in his hand. It's reached him already.
You have saved his life, but what have you done with mine?
I want you. I trust you. I am coming to you. Gertrude. Oh, my love, is this true? Do you indeed trust me and want me? If so, then it was for me to come to you, not for you to write of coming to me. This letter of yours, Gertrude, it makes me feel as if nothing in the world could hurt me now. Do you want me, Gertrude?
Yes!
Gill. When Montfort passed me your letter across the table, he had opened it up by mistake, I suppose, without reading the handwriting on the envelope. And I read it. Oh, I did not care what punishment or disgrace was in store for me. I only thought that you loved me still.
There is no disgrace or dishonor in store for you. Why, Mrs. Cheveley has handed over to Lord Goring the document that was in her possession, and he has destroyed it.
Are you sure of this?
Why, yes. Lord Goring has just told me.
Then I am safe. Oh, what a wonderful thing it is to be safe. For these 2 days now I have been in terror. But I am safe now. How did Arthur destroy my letter?
He burned it. Nearly burned himself.
I wish I had been there. To see that one sin of my youth burning to ashes. How many men in modern life would love to see their past burning the white ashes before them? Is Arthur still here?
Yes, he's in the conservatory.
I'm so glad now that I gave that speech in the house last night. So glad. I gave it thinking that disgrace might be the result. But it has not been so.
Public honor has been the result.
I think so. I fear so, almost. For though I have escaped all detection, for though every proof against me has been destroyed, I suppose, Gertrude, I suppose that I should retire from public life.
Oh, yes, Robert, you should do that. It is your duty to do that.
It would be much to surrender.
No, it would be much to gain.
And you would be happy, and living alone with me. Abroad, perhaps, or in the country, away from London, away from public life. You would have no regrets.
Oh, none, Robert.
And your ambitions for me. You used to be ambitious for me.
My ambition. I have none now, but that we two may love each other. It was your ambition that first led you astray. Let us not talk about ambition any longer.
Arthur, I have to thank you for what you've done for me. I don't know how I can repay you.
I'll tell you at once. At the present moment, under the usual palm tree. I'm in the conservatory.
Lord Caversham.
Love makes a habit of turning up at the wrong moment. That's heartless of him. Very heartless.
Good morning, Lady Chiltern. Warmest congratulations to you, Chiltern, on your brilliant speech last night. I have just come from the Prime Minister, and you are to have the vacant seat in the Cabinet.
A seat in the Cabinet?
Yes. Here is the Prime Minister's letter.
A seat in the Cabinet?
Certainly, and you well deserve it, too. You've got just what we want so much in political life nowadays. High character, high moral tone, high principles. Just what you have not got, sir. Never will have.
I don't like principles, Father. I prefer prejudices.
I cannot accept this offer, Lord Caversham. I have made up my mind to decline it.
Decline it, sir?
Yes, it is my intention to retire from public life immediately.
Decline a seat in the Cabinet and retire from public life? Never heard such absurd nonsense in the whole course of my existence. Lady Chiltern, you are a sensible woman, the most sensible woman in London, the most sensible woman I know. Kindly prevent your husband from taking such a... Will you kindly do that, Lady Chiltern?
I think my husband is right in his decision, Lord Caversham, and I approve of it.
You approve of it? Good heavens!
I admire him for it. I admire him immensely for it. I have never admired him so much before. Why, he is finer than even I thought him. You will go and write your letter to the Prime Minister, won't you, Robert? Don't hesitate about it.
I suppose I should write it at once. Such offers are not repeated. You will excuse me for a moment, Lord Caversham?
I may go with you, may I not, Robert?
Yes, Gertrude.
Both of them, too, wife as well as husband. Can't understand it. They're not an old family. Very sad indeed.
It is not idiocy, Father, I assure you.
Well, what is it then, sir?
It is what is called nowadays as a high moral tone, and that is all.
Hate these newfangled names, sir. Same things we used to call idiocy 50 years ago. Can't stay in this house any longer.
Do go in here for a moment, Father. Third palm tree on the left, the usual palm tree.
What, sir?
I beg your pardon, Father. The conservatory. There is someone I should like you to talk to.
About what, sir?
About me, Father.
Not a subject on which much eloquence is possible.
No, Father, but the lady is like me. She thinks eloquence a little loud. Lady Chiltern. Lady Chiltern. Why are you playing Mrs. Cheveley's cards?
I don't understand you.
Mrs. Cheveley made an attempt to ruin your husband, either by driving him from public life or by making him adopt a dishonorable position. From the latter tragedy, you have saved him. The former, you're now thrusting upon him. Why should you do him the wrong that Mrs. Cheveley tried to do and failed?
Lord Goring?
Lady Chiltern, allow me. You wrote me a letter last night in which you said that you trusted me and wanted my help. Now is the moment you really want my help. Now is the time you've got to trust me. To trust in my counsel and in my judgment. You love your husband. Do you want to kill his love for you? What sort of existence would he have if you robbed him of the fruits of his ambition? If you took from him the splendor of a great political career? If you closed the doors of public life against him? If you condemned him to a sterile failure, he who is meant for triumph and success? A woman is not meant to judge her husband, but to forgive where he needs forgiveness. Pardon. Pardon, not punishment, is her mission. Why should you scourge him with rods for a sin done in his youth? Before he knew you, Lady Chiltern, before he knew even himself. Don't make any terrible mistake, Lady Chiltern. If you can keep his love and love him in return, you've done all the world wants of us, or should want.
But it is my husband himself who wishes to retire from public life. Why, it was he who first said so.
Rather than lose your love, Robert would do anything. Wreck his whole career as he is on the brink of doing now. He's making for you a terrible sacrifice, Lady Chiltern. Take my advice. Do not accept a sacrifice so great. If you do so, you will live to repent it bitterly. We men and women are not meant to accept such great sacrifices from each other. We are not worthy of them. Besides, Robert has been punished enough.
We have both been punished. I set him up too high.
Do not for that same reason set him down now too low. If Robert has fallen from his altar, do not thrust him into the mire. Failure to Robert would be the very mire of shame. Power is his passion. Robert would lose everything, even his power to feel love. Your husband's love is at this moment in your hands. Your husband's life is at this moment in your hands. Don't mark both for him.
Here's the draft of my letter, Gertrude. Shall I read it to you?
Let me see it.
What are you doing?
We have both been wrong, and we have both been punished for it. Why should I punish you anymore? I have just learned this and much more from Lord Goring, and I will not spoil your life for you. Nor will I see you spoil it as a sacrifice for me, a useless sacrifice.
Gertrude. Gertrude.
You can forget. Men easily forget. I can forgive.
My wife. My wife. Arthur, it seems that I am going to be continually in your debt.
Your debt is to Lady Chiltern, not to me.
I owe you much. And now tell me, what were you going to ask me just now as Lord Caversham came in?
Robert, you are your sister's guardian, and I want your consent to my marriage with her. That is all.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
My sister to be your wife?
Yes.
I'm very sorry, Arthur, but the thing is quite impossible. I have to think about Mabel's future happiness, and I do not think her happiness would be safe in your hands. And I cannot have that sacrificed.
Sacrificed?
Yes, utterly sacrificed. Loveless marriages are horrible things. But there is one thing worse than an absolutely loveless marriage, Arthur. A marriage in which there is love, but on one side only. Faith, but on one side only. Devotion, but on one side only. And in which of the two hearts, one is sure to be broken.
But I love Mabel. No other woman has any place in my life.
Why, Robert, if they love each other, why should they not be married?
Arthur cannot give Mabel the love that she deserves.
What reason do you have for saying this?
Do you really require me to tell you?
Certainly I do.
As you choose. When I called upon you yesterday evening, I found Mrs. Cheveley concealed in one of your rooms. It was between 10 and 11 o'clock at night. I wish to say nothing more. Your relations with Mrs. Cheveley have, as I said to you last night, nothing whatsoever to do with me. I know that you were engaged to be married to her at one time. The fascination she held over you then seems to have returned. You spoke of her last night as a woman pure and stainless. A woman whom you honored and respected. That may be so, but I cannot give my sister's life into your hands. It would be wrong of me, Arthur. It would be unjust, infamously unjust to her.
I have nothing more to say.
Robert, it was not Mrs. Cheveley whom Lord Goring expected last night.
Not Mrs. Cheveley. Who was it?
It was your own wife. Robert, yesterday afternoon, Lord Goring told me that if I was ever in trouble, then I could write to him and come to him for help and advice. And so, last night, after we had that terrible scene in this room, I did write to him, telling him that I wanted him and that I trusted him and... Yes, that same letter. But I didn't go to Lord Goring's after all. I felt it was from ourselves alone that help can come. My pride made me think that. But Mrs. Cheveley, when she stole my letter and sent it to you anonymously this morning, that you should think... Oh, Robert, I cannot tell you what she wished you to think.
What? Had I fallen so low in your eyes that you thought that even for a moment I could doubt your goodness? Gertrude! Gertrude! You are to me the white image of every good thing. Sin could never touch you. Arthur, you may go to Mabel. You have my best wishes. Oh, stop a moment. This letter has no name. There should be a name on it. The brilliant Mrs. Cheveley does not seem to have noticed that.
Well, then let me write yours. It is you I want and need. You and no one else.
Really, I think I should have back my own letter.
No! You shall have Mabel.
I hope she hasn't forgotten me. It's been nearly 20 minutes.
I think your father's conversation much more improving than yours. I'm only going to speak to Lord Caversham in the future, and always under the usual palm tree.
Darling.
Well, what does this mean, sir? Do not mean to say that this charming, clever young lady has been so foolish as to accept you.
Yes, Father, and Sir Robert has been wise enough to accept a seat in the cabinet.
Well, very glad to hear that, children. I congratulate you.
to luncheon, won't you, Lord Caversham?
With pleasure. And I'll drive you to Downing Street afterwards, Chiltern. You have a great future before you, a great future. I wish I could say the same for you, sir. But your career will have to be entirely domestic.
Yes, Father, I prefer it domestic.
And if you don't make this young lady an ideal husband, I'll cut you off with a shilling.
An ideal husband? Oh, I don't think I should like that. It sounds like something from the next world.
Well, what do you want him to be then, dear?
He can be what he chooses. All I want is to be a real wife to him.
On my word, there's a good deal of common sense in that.
Aren't you coming in, Robert?
Gertrude, is it love you feel for me? Or pity merely?
Oh, it is love, Robert. Love and only love. For both of us, a new life is beginning.
We'd like to have our directors come up, our wonderful directors, and we'd like to just honor them. This has been an undertaking that could not have been done without their wonderful work. And I can't just tell you how much I personally appreciate them. Come on up.
It's been a pleasure working with our directors. It's been great. The cast has been wonderful.
Wonderful cast.
And I just want to thank you so much. I just want to thank PhD for allowing us this opportunity. Thank you to the directors. You've been amazing. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much.
And our crew.
Our crew has been absolutely wonderful.